Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Behind the delivery trucks that keep your life stocked, thousands of employees at BP go to work every day. People bringing a new offshore production platform online. People making our refineries capable of more, like making renewable diesel from agricultural waste. People trading and shipping fuels to our customers. And people helping truckers fill up and get maintenance at our convenient locations. They're part of the more than 300,000 jobs BP supports across the country. Learn more at bp.com/investing in America.
All right, HBCU Legends fans, it's Coyote Mosley here with Coach Darryl Steward, and we're about to break down Week 13 in HBCU football. What's going on, Cole?
How you doing this morning, Mr. Mosley?
Oh, man, everything's righteous. Coach, Week 13, can't believe it's in books already, and we're going into the final games of the season. Classics are coming up with Turkey Day as well as the Bayou Classic. Then we got some postseason stuff to talk about, but most all of everything is that, man, this has been a tremendous season. Even though people thought it was going to be a down season, I just like what has happened with HBCU football in 2024. All in all, and I think we have a exciting, dramatic close to the season coming up. How do you feel?
Yeah, we had a tremendous year. It could have been better. If you ask me my overall grade, without a lot of the foolishness and a lot of the first-year guys, I would grade the league as a C+ for this year. I thought it could have been a lot better. But at least we're ending on a good note.
Yeah, ending on a really, really good note, a very positive note across the board. Guys, before we carry on, go to hbculegends.net. You can be able to follow us on Sports Illustrated, and you can also go to HBCU Legends on all of the social media platforms, and you can follow me at KTMOZE on social media as well. All right, Coach, and you can always do, Coach, tell them your moniker. Tycoon.
Tycoon League 2 at gmail.com. Also catch me on with the great Kyle T. Mosley at HBCU Legends.
All right. Since it's going to be a holiday week this week and smack dabbed in the middle of the week, we're not going to have the Black Sports Insiders. We're going to pick everything up after the Bayou Classic and talk a little bit about what's going to happen there. We may do something. Coach, let's do something on Friday. Maybe we can do something on Friday right before the Bayou Classic and give the listeners a little special taste of what to expect before the clash between Southern and Grambling. And let's start it off with what happened this weekend, Coach. And you and I talked about this earlier. And guys, if y'all haven't heard about this, you got to know. We have had two Division II teams who went into the playoffs and had two upsets and won. First is Miles College. They defeated Carson Newman. That was a close game, 14-13. And then we had Virginia Union to defeat Wingate in a overtime thriller that was 34-31, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 34-31, 34-30. So, but all in all, man, Coach, these were exciting games. They weren't blowouts that usually occur when the D2 teams take on some of the other FCS squads. How do you put this all in perspective for the listeners?
Well, you're talking about two pioneers that's been in our league for several decades. You're talking about Sam Shade, one of the greats that started on the high school level, worked his way up to the collegiate level. An icon in the state of Alabama, played for the University of Alabama. Just, great leaders at the helm. And they had a high goal, which they achieved and accomplished. And along with Dr. Frazier at Virginia Union.
Dr. Parker.
I'm sorry. But those young men just doing an outstanding job there. And, sky's the limit when you put your mind and your goals up to achieving, Kyle. These are two programs that administration bought into the vision and the goal, and everyone is accomplishing greatness right now.
I'm gonna tell you, man, they had me on edge. That Miles College game had me on edge, man. What had me on edge was the fact that whoever were the two announcers, they did a great job because they kept noticing the quarterback for Miles. He kept having problems with his handoffs, his exchanges, right? And in the fourth quarter, less than a minute left in the game, he tries to hand the ball off and trying to pull it out to go to the RPO. He fumbles the football, gives it right back to those guys at Carson Newman. They have a chance to go down to win the game just on the field goal. They just needed to get to field goal position. But you got to credit Sam Shade's defense. They shut him down, intercepted the ball, game over. Man, that's what made it so dramatic. But it was also great to be able to be on the campus at Miles and have this win. That's a historic win for those guys. The Golden Bears, they did an excellent job, man. And then you go to the game over at Virginia Union, right?
Right.
Coach, when I was looking at the line and the stats and everything for the game, it came down to the final drive for Virginia Union after they had an interception as well. So they got the interception near the 48-yard line of Wingate's. And let me tell you what the quarterback Rosales did. So when they got the ball, right, Rosales had around 5 minutes left, under 5 minutes left in the game, right?
Right.
That kid took the ball on a 4th and 11 and converted it with a 15-yard run, right? Later, they were down 4th and 14, and he rushed the ball for 16 yards to the 22-yard line. Then he, on a 3rd and 15, he connected with running back Jada Byers out of the backfield for 18 yards and took it to the 9-yard line with 20 seconds left in the game. Then the next play, he threw the strike in the end zone, tied up the game. They got the ball in, Wingate got the ball in overtime. Then Wingate could not score the touchdown. The Panthers defense held. They booted the 3 points. Then when the Panthers got the ball, Rosales brought the ball down. He and Byers touched the ball 4 times, put it in the end zone, game over. So that's what made this exciting, man. It made it a thrilling win. Now, both of those guys have difficult games ahead of themselves, because you talked about Miles going to Valdosta State, the number 1 ranked team in the FCS right now on the bracket. So do you believe they have a chance against Valdosta State?
I do. When you look at these teams, they have players. They have great weapons. But it starts with the head coaches. They have 2 dynamic head coaches that's been there before. And so nothing really is going to phase them into game planning, into getting their kids prepared. It's kind of like they're used to it. And so I think it's going to come down to the team that doesn't make the most mistakes. You know, in big games like this, you got to limit yourself on mistakes and have a great game plan to accomplish the goal, and that's to win the championship.
Yeah, and I think this first playoff game was a great learning lesson, because Miles didn't play the smoothest of games. You know, compared to how they played against Clark Atlanta the week before, this was one of those off games, so to speak. It was uncharacteristic penalties, poor decision making. Sometimes the emotions got in the way from the young men. So I think it was a learning lesson. And going into Valdosta, they're going to have to play an A-plus type of game to be able to come in and walk away with a win from that program. Now, if you look at Virginia Union, they have to face Lenore Ryan, which last year I believe Lenore Ryan defeated NCCU when they went to the playoffs last year. And they really put it on NCCU. So when the Panthers
I think it was Benedict, because NCCU is not Division II.
Apologies, you're right. It was Benedict. It was Benedict. But NCCU got beat by somebody too in that playoff. Okay. So apologies, you're correct. But anyway, Lenore Ryan, man, they beat West Alabama, which was supposedly one of the top teams in the bracket as well. So they walked away with a 37-34 win. And now Virginia Union has to face these guys. How do you see that one?
Another team that's been there before. So their coaches, their generals know how to prepare their team for a great battle. But I have to give the edge to Lenore Ryan. They've done it before, so it's not going to be nothing new to them. I think they're going to go in with a great game plan. I think it's going to be a close game, though. So, but, you know, it could go either way, but I would have to give the edge to the team that's been there before, and that's Lenore Ryan.
Yeah. Okay. And, Coach, you were correct. Lenore Ryan defeated Benedict 35-25 last season. Okay. All right. I stand corrected. Ready? But anyway, Coach, man, those were very great wins for both of those programs, right? And then we turn our attention to Division I. Tennessee State, tremendous win over Southeastern Missouri. Those guys were able to really command that game from start to finish, winning 28-21. It wasn't even close as the score signifies, because those later points came late for SEMO. So Eddie George and his program is now 9-3 on the season. They have a 4-way share of the OVC title. I don't know how that happens, guys, but it is. So, Coach, talk about Eddie George and what he's been able to accomplish and what that Tennessee Tigers team, State Tigers team, is doing right now.
Well, first of all, Eddie George is blessed because, Tennessee State is going through turnover. But one thing I can say, they were diligently enough to give him time. Most teams, most administrations are not going to understand the vision and process and not going to give you time. But he's in year 4, and they went through the process, they went through the vision, and now you can see the repercussions that they're dealing with in this particular adventure. which is winning the championship. He did it. It hadn't been done since 1999. And so that's why you hear his name for so many head coaching jobs right now. I was on the interview session last night where, Eddie George is a big-time target for the Kennesaw State job. And so, which is an attracting job. I don't know what's Tennessee State plan on. I know they're going to probably try to keep him. But, of course, when big jobs call, somehow our leaders go to running. So, but, with the goals he set, with the vision that he set, and with the mission that the players bought into, it just shows what type of leader Eddie George is, man. And, I salute him and congratulate Tennessee State as well.
I don't know if Kennesaw State is the right place for him or not. I can't speak for Eddie George. All I can speak for is right now to see the Tigers, how excited they were, the jubilation on the sideline, to see that program, where they have come from. And you're right. They gave him time to be able to build up that program, where we have so many HBCU alumni and fan bases calling for the heads of certain coaches if they don't win in year one. Yeah, you didn't win. Or if you had a coach like Dooley who won, brought you to the SWAC championship, get rid of him. It's crazy, man. Right now, this is a good example of how you should allow a coach to mature and have his program to mature as well. Because there's some rumblings in Prairie View that we got to talk about a little bit later. But before we go on, we're going to come back and talk more about Tennessee State, as well as what's happening with Jackson State, as well as South Carolina State, what those guys were able to accomplish in week 13. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of the Black Sports Insiders, as well as HBCU Legends podcast. I'm here with Coach Darryl Steward. We'll be back in 2 and 2. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. I love rooting for the underdog, and this underdog you will love playing because they give you the advantage to win. Join the other 5 million happy players who have won over $2 billion on Underdog because it's so easy to be able to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. For example, 2 of our favorite Heisman hopefuls who are also HBCU alums are Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders. Let's say Shador racks up higher than 2 passing touchdowns next week, we win. Let's say Travis gets lower than 2 touchdown receptions, we win. So just cook up the entries the way you want it to be and win real cash prizes all football season long. Underdog is the best place to play like a champion. You get to be able to download the app today, use the promo code HBCU Legends, and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Let me repeat that. You download the app today, you use promo code HBCU Legends, and you get $1,000 in bonus cash instantly? That's right. So HBCU fans, you can use Underdog Fantasy, join Coach and I, get ready to be able to win. You can do your pick'ems, you can do your higher or lower. It doesn't matter. You make the call, use Underdog.
You must be 18 years or older, or 19 or older in Alabama or Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, and 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Or in Colorado, concerned about your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. And in Arizona, go to 1-800 Next Step or 800-639-8783 or text Next Step to 53342. In New York, call 24/7 Hope Line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, Coach, we are back, man, and we were just wrapping up our thoughts on Tennessee State and what they're able to accomplish. They had some guys out there putting in their FCS bracketology, who the Tigers could possibly face. One said it could be Abilene Christian in the first round of the FCS playoffs. I don't know. What's your thoughts? What's your predictions?
Well, let's hope it's not Abilene Christian. They have a great football team. They're kind of like a North Dakota State. You know, they're always in the playoffs. They're always doing well, and you know, they know what it takes to win it all.
Yeah, that would be a tough in and out. Then they have some guys. I think who was it? Craig Haley from the FCS Staff Perform team. Those guys have them projected to play Richmond, who are 10-2 on the season. That might be a better game for them to face, wouldn't you think?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. You talk about Abilene Christian. Ooh, that's not a good one. Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. But that's on the other side of the bracket. I think when you have Abilene Christian, who is at 8-4 on the season, you may have Tennessee State facing either those guys, or then there's guys like Montana, Southeast Missouri, and in places like that who are ranked higher. Look, I was surprised to see Tarleton State up there, man, at 9-3 this season. My neighbor is the defensive back for those guys, man, young Mr. Smith. So he's playing a really good football there. He's a starter at Tarleton State. So congratulations to those guys as well. All right. Should Prairie View consider bringing back Bubba McDowell?
Well, Kyle, you know, I'm a fair guy, and you got to look at, unfortunately, we're not in the fair business. And you got to look at the things he's accomplished at Prairie View. You know, Prairie View is a great job, but, you know, they put academics first, where that's what you're supposed to. But when some of these schools rely on their football program heavily, now they're reaping the benefits from football, and it's kind of turning. But, I mean, every head coach, and I because I've been a head coach, desire to be a head coach in the conference, and this goes for anybody. I believe in giving every head coach that grace year. And notice I said year. You're looking at a guy that this is his first bad season. So he knows what it takes to rebound. He's been in the championship game several times. So I think it's really ludicrous to even think of getting rid of this guy off one bad year, because you look at several coaches in our league that had multiple bad years and still had their job. So, you know, I know the bar is set high at Prairie View because you have some advantages by being in the lovely city of Houston, Texas. But I mean, you just cannot. I mean, it's just one bad year. This is a guy, he's been at the top of the hill. He's done great things for your university. You've been in the championship game, not once, but twice. So it's just no grounds to get rid of a guy off one bad year. I mean, unless he's done something drastic, he has a chance to rebound, get into the offseason. As you can see now, Bubba McDowell had NIL money last year. So he knows what it takes to get everything done. He goes into the offseason, recruiting right. He'll be back ready for this Prairie View program next year, Kyle. But to answer your question, yes, I think he should come back for another year.
Yeah, of course, I believe he should. The losing streak toward the end of the year does not help you. When you lose to Alcorn State 13-26 at home, then they went to Montgomery in a low-scoring defensive output was really what the game was, man. A 6-9 loss to Alabama State. Coach mentioned to me there was concerns about the offense coming out of that the Florida A&M win. right? And that was a big win right there, right? But they have also had big losses. One, to start the season, losing against Texas Southern, and then the loss to Southern in overtime that they should not have allowed to happen, and then you lose to Alabama State the way they did. I think it's a learning lesson. Like you said, you give grace, right? And I don't think what has happened is not indicative of a poorly ran team. I think it's indicative of they need certain players in place that they didn't have. One, the quarterback position for Prairie View this season was up and down. They went through 3 different starters. No, listen, Cooley, Peters, Johnson, and another 4 different starters this year. Okay. And to be able to, at the end of the season, take this L in Montgomery was just hard. It's hard for the Panthers faithful. But here's my question always when it comes to people talk about coaching changes, right?
Right.
Who are you going to get?
Well, I'm glad you said that, Kyle, because I had 3 coaches last night that, say, hey, man, just give me a shout out, man. I'm available. And they're proven winners as offensive coordinators. We have so many coaches in our league that are screaming for OCs. I'm looking for an offensive coordinator. Well, the top guy on my list right now that I know, of course, is he's a head coach now at Viger High School, John McKenzie. He's been in the SWAC. He's coached with Houston Markham, one of the great legends. And he has this Viger team in a well-renowned program in the state of Alabama, getting ready for another championship. The second person, of course, is Johnny Cole, who's on the air with us. Great offensive mind, cold-blooded brothers that you can use for a high-power offense. That's on a lot of people's radar. Of course, the third person is a legend in our conference, 3-time SWAC winner, Sean Gregory, that coached at Sanford, that knows, coached with the legendary Pat Dye. So he knows how to get quarterbacks. And the guys that I'm telling you about, Kyle, are former quarterbacks. And that's the problem in our league. We need guys that know how to go and recruit a quarterback. And, of course, Melvin Spears, the big-time head coach from Grambling, former head coach. These are guys that you can bring in that can't hurt you. They've been there before. They won championships. Most of our coaches now, they get kind of, nervous. Oh, if I make a mistake, this guy goes. Well, these guys have already won championship. They just want to coach. But most importantly, Kyle, these guys can get you a quarterback. That's what so many of our coaches need right now.
Let's take it a step further, though, Coach. They not only can help you recruit a quarterback, they can teach a quarterback.
Right.
They can teach the position. You talk about every one of those guys, and you have to look at what Coach Graves was able to do. He brought in. Go ahead.
You're right. That's a great example. What he did. Coach Graves wasn't jealous or envious about, this man won this, won that, because he was hearing the noise about bringing in Coach McNair. And look where he is at now. He knows his ability. When you know your ability as a head coach, Kyle, these type of things won't hurt you. That's what Coach Graves did, and now he's reaping the benefits from it by participating in the SWAC championship.
I always say this one thing, and I recall one of my old presidents of my former organization said, think about Henry Ford. He said, if you want to be a great manager, look at what Henry Ford used to do. People say, do you know who Henry Ford engineers were? No. They're nowhere in the records and in the annals of history that we know those guys, but we know Henry Ford. We know Ford is internationally known, right? We know the name Ford because what he did was he had a system, philosophy, bring in the brightest and smartest people I can put on my team to give me what I need to build the best machine out there. Then we can be able to put it in production. And that's the same thing that Graves did. If you have a guy like Willie Totten, you have a guy like Fred McNair, why don't you put them on your team to help you? And also, you never know, sometimes when you're the head coach, you walk out of the locker room or walk out the office, how those guys can help stabilize a situation or the chatter, right, that goes on behind the scenes to help your program. You've got to have enough, like you say, faith and belief in who you are as a head coach instead of having animosity to think, oh, if I bring this guy in, he's going to try to take my job. Those guys don't want to hire because they're going to take my job. No, I can't do that. No, man, look, if you walk scared, act scared, your program is going to be in shatters.
Right.
Bottom line, man. And hey, I can tell you when I hired some very great recruiters in my day, they were far better than I was, but I knew I was a better leader. You understand? Bottom line, if I hire writers, I want the talented writers on my staff, but I know I can publish better than him can. You understand? You've got to understand your role. What's your function as the head coach? Your function is not to be the star all the time. You know, everybody can't be Coach Prime as the head coach, but can you lead your team and structure your department and have them to work effectively to coach and teach those young men to be able to bring us wins, right? And also help them to win at life. Those are important things as a head coach. Am I off base?
No, you're exactly right. You also got to understand this. These are going to be times as a head coach when you're going to need your family and when your family is going to need you. Who are you going to say, hey, I got to take my wife to the emergency room or I got to pick up my kids. Can you hold the program down for an hour or two till I get back? You're going to need a guy like that. And so, I think these head coaches realize that now. But most importantly, Kyle, talking to several head coaches, all they talking about is finding an offensive coordinator and a quarterback. And so I just think these four guys right now can do the job. I
think at Prairie View as well as at Texas Southern, those are the keys right there to be able to find an OC and a coordinator. I'm not trying to get anybody out the door, but there's been some issues at those two locations when it comes to the offense. Prairie View, if you can't go into Montgomery and score more than 6 points, that's a problem. That's a problem. Offensively, there's a problem somewhere. The same thing, you noticed there were some early issues there at Texas Southern. I don't think that coaching staff completely bought into Jace Wilson, and I think that set them back early on when KJ Cooper went down after that first game. If they were able to really buy into Jace Wilson, work with Jace Wilson, Texas Southern could have had more than 5 wins on the board. Matter of fact, they let 2 games slip through their fingers. Southern University, that overtime loss there, as well as when they were beating Lamar in Beaumont to be able to allow them to come back because they could not pick up first downs when they needed to pick up first downs on 2 crucial drives to end the game. So those are the things that we're looking at. Again, I'm not trying to call for anybody's job, guys, but when you have somebody like Johnny Cole, Melvin Spears out there, you've got to take a look and consider them for the job, right?
Agree.
All right. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Kyle T. Mosley and Coach Darryl Steward. We'll be back. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. I love rooting for the underdog, and this underdog you will love playing because they give you the advantage to win. Join the other 5 million happy players who have won over $2 billion on Underdog because it's so easy to be able to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. For example, 2 of our favorite Heisman hopefuls who are also HBCU alums are Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders. Let's say Shador racks up higher than 2 passing touchdowns next week, we win. Let's say Travis gets lower than 2 touchdown receptions, we win. So just cook up the entries the way you want it to be and win real cash prizes all football season long. Underdog is the best place to play like a champion. You get to be able to download the app today, use the promo code HBCU Legends, and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Let me repeat that. You download the app today, you use promo code HBCU Legends, and you get $1,000 in bonus cash instantly? That's right. So HBCU fans, you can use Underdog Fantasy, join Coach and I, get ready to be able to win. You can do your pick'ems, you can do your higher or lower. It doesn't matter. You make the call, use Underdog.
You must be 18 years or older, or 19 or older in Alabama or Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, and 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Or in Colorado, concerned about your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. And in Arizona, go to 1-800-NEXT STEP or 800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call 24/7 Hope Line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, Cole, we were just talking about some possible changes, and the changes across HBCU football offensively doesn't just reside in Houston when you look at Prairie View as well as Texas Southern, but there were some issues up at Grambling, right? There was issues across the board. Even in the MEAC, you can be able to say, hey, if Dawson Oldham had a different OC, what could the Spartans have done? Or what could Damon Wilson and the Morgan State Bears could have done? And things to that nature. You can go on and on. You always want to improve your standing for next season, so you have to be able to evaluate your staff fairly as well as your players. So at this point, how do you do that as a coach?
Well, you're doing your end of the year evaluations, and this is what the hard part comes as being a head coach. And I always did it at the last game, Kyle. You bring in all your assistants, and you do your individual evaluations of that particular position. And starting off with the offensive coordinator, you set team goals, and if they didn't accomplish the goals, then if you're going to get rid of them, of course, you're going to let the president know first, and then let the AD know that it's going to be a change in several positions, starting with my offensive coordinator. And once you do that, you just bring them in, you evaluate, and if they didn't reach, if they're not in number 1 or number 2 or number 3 spot, then this justifies me relieving you of your duties. And it's nothing personal. You just relieve them of their duties, shake hands. If they need a recommendation, get one from your AD or your president, and that's it. They move on to higher heights. But that's how I always did it. You got to have team goals, you got to have individual goals, and your coaching staff got to have goals. And so if they don't reach them, then you just have justifiable reasons to relieve them of their duties.
Okay. Last season, around this point of the year, I think we had 5 coaches to be relieved of their duties in the SWAC, right? And now those coaches, if we have to give a first year evaluation to what has happened in some of these programs. Well, not even the swag, across the board, the HBCU. So if you look at what has happened, one, we have first-year coach in Southern. We have first-year coach at Texas Southern. We have first-year coach at Grambling, right? And if you had to look at those situations right there, Coach.
And Valley. Is Valley head coach first year?
No, he's not first year. Second
Okay.
year. Yeah. So if you look at those three spots right there, how would you rank the jobs from 1 to 3?
Of course, Coach Gray's at Southern University. You know, Southern is not going to lower their standards for anybody. They believe in being in the championship game or bust. So I have Southern University at 1, and Texas Southern at 2, and last but not least, Grambling State. Very disappointing year for Coach Mickey Joseph. But, you know, it's Grambling. You know, they had great players. They believe in winning the championship or being in the championship every other year. So who's to say what's going to happen in that program?
Oh, I apologize. Coach Cozy at FAMU.
Coach Cozy at FAMU, you know, that one was a tricky because he was the returning champs. He had a championship team. He fixed it too late, I think. And what I mean by that is he made a change. He saw that it was a problem late in the game. He made that change. Of course, they scored the most they scored all year against Bethune. I think if he'd have made that change early up on in the season, he would have been in the championship game. But all in all, he has a winning record. The FAMU faithful, you know, they were screaming for a championship because Willie Simmons left from the championship team. If it was me, of course, I would keep him for another year. I think he did an outstanding job. It's just sometimes as a head coach, you want to be professional and say, hey, I want to give this guy a shot. But it just goes back to tell you, Kyle, what we always talk about. Certain programs in the HBCUs are not going to let you learn on the job. And FAMU is one of them.
Okay. I had a couple of conversations with the HBCU as well as FAMU faithful, and they were telling me that they believe Coach Cozy could still have a great program going forward, but he's going to have to make some changes in that coaching staff. And what Coach Cozy did was what I think we could learn this lesson from the animal kingdom. Okay? When a new lion takes over a pride, he has to beat the guy that's already there, right?
Right.
Not only when he beats those guys who are already there and dismisses them from the animal kingdom, he also does something some people say is barbaric. He gets rid of the cubs from that guy. He gets them out. And then he goes to work starting with the lionesses, and he starts his process and putting his lineage in place of the animal kingdom in that pride. And I think we can learn a lesson from that, because when you take over a program, sometimes people say, well, I want to keep this guy around. I want to make sure he's okay, and I don't want to just let him go. But remember, those guys who were on that coaching staff with you, they may have wanted that job just as well as much as you did.
Right.
Right? And some of them may have felt slighted, so to speak. So when it comes to, we talked about it just a few minutes ago, if you leave the room, which one of those guys is going to have your back?
Right.
And I heard, it's just a rumor, that some of those guys were not really did not buy into what Coach Cozy was putting down. And sometimes you got to have your own guys in place, man. Just fortunately that Coach Graves didn't have that same situation to happen with him. You know, Willie Totten could have said, why couldn't I be the head coach, right? But he had a guy that he probably had a better relationship and better trust than what Coach Cozy ran into over at Florida A&M. Just saying, guys, sometimes you've got to look at certain things and you've got to put your staff in place versus always acquiescing and saying, oh.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Behind every BP fill-up, thousands of people across America go to work every day. People producing energy offshore. People turning it into products at our refineries. People doing R&D to make products that are better for your engine. People trading and shipping fuels to their destinations. And the people who help you at one of BP's growing family of retail stations. They're part of the more than 300,000 jobs BP supports across the country. Learn more at bp.com/investing in America.
Let's just give these guys a chance since they want to stay around the program. I think sometimes you never know. Benedict Arnold can show his face in different ways, man. You know?
Well, I'm glad you said that, Kyle, because these three candidates, Johnny Cole, Melvin Spears, and John McKenzie are all in that old regime. So a guy like Coach Cozy, they couldn't really hurt him.
That's right.
If he brings him in, and if Coach Cozy is listening, I'm quite sure he is. If you look at an older OC coach, and I know, let's just face it, every SWAC head coach watch their jobs and watch how they hire a former head coach. We understand that. But I think the three guys that we named, besides Sean Gregory, they couldn't hurt him. I think they could help him, and they can help him get back in the SWAC championship game quickly, Kyle.
But also the trust and the relationship is not between them and the former head coach, right? The trust will be now with that head coach who hired me. That's the principle I'm trying to get into you guys' minds to kind of see, where does the relationship begin? The relationships begin with that person you put into place. Same thing happened with some of the players. I heard some of those young men didn't understand the history of Florida A&M football, the importance of what has happened, and I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. I love rooting for the underdog, and this underdog you will love playing because they give you the advantage to win. Join the other 5 million happy players who have won over $2 billion on Underdog, because it's so easy to be able to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. For example, 2 of our favorite Heisman hopefuls who are also HBCU alums are Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders. Let's say Shador racks up higher than 2 passing touchdowns next week, we win. Let's say Travis gets lower than 2 touchdown receptions, we win. So just cook up the entries the way you want it to be and win real cash prizes all football season long. Underdog is the best place to play like a champion. You get to be able to download the app today, use the promo code HBCU Legends, and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Let me repeat that. You download the app today, you use promo code HBCU Legends, and you get $1,000 in bonus cash instantly? That's right. So HBCU fans, you can use Underdog Fantasy, join Coach and I, get ready to be able to win. You can do your pick'ems, you can do your higher or lower. It doesn't matter. You make the call, use Underdog.
You must be 18 years or older, or 19 or older in Alabama or Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, and 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Or in Colorado, concerned about your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. And in Arizona, go to 1-800 Next Step or 800-639-8783 or text Next Step to 53342. In New York, call 24/7 Hope Line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
A lot of people don't understand why it's important for the football team to go to the band and stand in support while the alma mater is being played. Right?
Right.
But that's something that's important. You had some of those young people, I understand, that they were running around talking to other people, going up into the stands and everything else while the alma mater is being played. That's you. If you look at college football, that's a part of the sport. Is it not?
You're absolutely correct, Cal. You know, and that's all a part of being a great leader. Your pregame walkthrough on Fridays, you know, what you talk about with your team, knowing that, hey, when we win this ball game, we don't forget the school fight song. You know, you go over at the end of the game, sing along with the rest of the fans. You know, you're supposed to know that as a leader first. And so this is what I'm talking about, where these leaders can help you because they've been there before.
Right. My freshman week at Morehouse, the first hours, listen to what I'm saying, guys, the first hours, we were given an assignment to learn what? Morehouse College song, the history from A to Z. And any of those guys come up to you, ask you if you knew this, knew that, you had to be able to figure it out, find it out. If you didn't know it, you might have overheard somebody else say it. You had to learn this. And that's how we will quiz that whole week long. But by the time we finish that week, we can give you as much history and knowledge of the history of Morehouse College than anybody else on that campus. That's how we were trained. And I think that has to be instilled in these young men. Who do they know who Jake Gaither is? Who do they know why the Orange Blossom Classic was important? And how the history behind it and things to that nature. Or why was the Florida Classic important? That battle between Bethune-Cookman, who leads the all-time series, and things. Those are things that I think people say it shouldn't really count, but it does count if you want these kids to understand why it's important to be a part of that program, a part of that school. Am I going overboard on it or what?
No, you're absolutely correct. You know, we used to do this thing called the Power Hour. And the Power Hour consists of what the program means to you. You know, with each player stand up, talk a little bit about the history, even the coaches, the head coaches, to get your players knowledgeable to the university and knowledgeable to the game. And those are things that you talk about in your program. You know, some coaches use FCA. Some coaches bring in former players to talk about the history and what goes on within those particular games. And so that's just all about a part of being a head coach, being creative, of knowing what to do when these things come forward, Kyle.
Right. They always told us at freshman week, you are not a Morehouse man. You are a man of Morehouse, but you are not a Morehouse man until you go across that stage and put that diploma in your hand and walk down and greet and love on your family and put that tassel to the other side. Then you're a Morehouse man. Same thing with these programs. Are you a FAMU Rattler or are you a Rattler of FAMU? Are you a Tiger of Jackson State? Are you a Tiger of Grambling State? Are you a Grambling State Tiger? you feel what I'm saying? And right. I think, you look at a story program like Grambling, something has fallen off over the past several years, man. Something somewhere has fallen off. But Johnny Cole made a great point to you and I last week. If you look at T.C. Taylor, you look at Terrence Graves, you look at Chinnis Berry, what do they have in common? They are all what? HBCU alums. Right?
Right.
Does that mean something?
It means a lot. The Grambling faithful right now is in a disarray. But, Grambling is a special place, and you got to know what you're doing when you're in the state of Louisiana as far as recruiting, how Grambling recruits, what type of player they bring in. And I just think a guy has to know Grambling. And if you don't know Grambling, you're going to struggle. And it's not a knock at Coach Joseph, because he is a Louisiana guy. But Grambling is, like I say, it's in a unique spot. It's in a different place. You got to know I-20. You got to know the Dallas area, because they heavily recruit Dallas. But if you don't, then you're going to have problems in Grambling. And then you also got to know the former players, which that program relies on heavily. And so I just think I'm blessed to be, because they know Eddie Robinson, kind of mentored me and schooled me for that particular job. So, that's why they always call me to see what's going on and what's wrong. And right now, they just are not getting the players that Doug Williams had and Eddie Robinson had.
Okay. If you look at the top 4 programs in the SWAC, Jackson State, Alabama State, Southern, Alcorn State, all 4 of those head coaches are HBCU head coaches. I'm just going to leave it like that, Coach. All right. And if you go to the MEAC, the top 2 head coaches and programs, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central. Both of those head coaches are HBCU. All right.
Right.
Does it make a difference? You darn tootin', guys. So,
it makes a big difference. But we're not gonna knock the former guys because Coach Prime is not an HBCU guy.
Yeah, but Willie Simmons either. He wasn't.
Right. But what those guys did, Kyle, before they became HBCU head coaches, they went to these big high school programs. They kind of know what it's like. So the only adjustment that they made when they went up to the Division I level is the recruitment process. That's the only adjustment. Everything else stays the same. 4-3 is a 4-3. Spread offense is spread offense. So,
yeah. Well, look, Coach Prime is a different animal, right? He does have a HBCU degree, right? But he's a different animal, and you got to put Coach Prime in a different category, so to speak. But if you look at Willie Simmons wasn't HBCU bred, but he was a head coach at Prairie View, was he not?
Right.
And for many years, he understood the HBCU culture before going over to Florida A&M and still understanding the HBCU culture. But it took him a while to get to the top. Did it? So that's all I'm saying. Can you rise to the top? Yeah. And if you look at what Coach Coach Dishman has done in his first season, think about this. Texas Southern was 5-6, right?
Right.
What if they won that Southern game? What if they won that Lamar game? That will put them at 7-4. And that 7-4, that's the same record that Southern has.
Right.
What could that have done for that program?
Well, you're talking about another guy with a wealth of experience, Coach Dishman, man. He's coached on the pro level, number one. He's coached on the collegiate level.
And
He's been
yeah,
he's been at the top of the top, Kyle. And so his only adjustment was being a head coach.
and
And he put
understanding
all
the HBCU culture.
right. And he put all that in place. And now look at him. First time 5 wins in what, over 10 years?
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah, so not a big adjustment, that he can't handle. I just think right now, we have to be careful when choosing coach. We know a lot of African Americans don't get that shot at being a head coach, but when they do get the shot, you have to be ready, and that's the only thing about being a head coach.
Yeah. Be ready, but also understanding what you're getting into. You used to, man, you said this all season long. The coaches got to know what they're getting into,
Right.
right? And I think Coach Dishman going into next season, you got to look at Texas Southern differently, man. I think Texas Southern, he had his goal to win the SWAC, was the number one goal this year. Why couldn't it be the number one goal again next year? I think it's always going to be his number one goal. And this was the first time Texas Southern closed out a season with 2 straight wins since 1999. Who's the coach who did it back then?
Coach Johnny Cole.
Yeah, you better believe it, baby. All right, so let's turn our attention to the MEAC, Coach, and we'll be back in 2 and 2. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. I love rooting for the underdog, and this underdog you will love playing because they give you the advantage to win. Join the other 5 million happy players who have won over $2 billion on Underdog because it's so easy to be able to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. For example, 2 of our favorite Heisman hopefuls who are also HBCU alums are Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders. Let's say Shador racks up higher than 2 passing touchdowns next week, we win. Let's say Travis gets lower than 2 touchdown receptions, we win. So just cook up the entries the way you want it to be and win real cash prizes all football season long. Underdog is the best place to play like a champion. You get to be able to download the app today, use the promo code HBCU Legends, and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Let me repeat that. You download the app today, you use promo code HBCU Legends, and you get $1,000 in bonus cash instantly? That's right. So HBCU fans, you can use Underdog Fantasy, join Coach and I, get ready to be able to win. You can do your pick'ems, you can do your higher or lower. It doesn't matter. You make the call, use Underdog.
You must be 18 years or older, or 19 and older in Alabama or Nebraska, 19 and older in Colorado for some games, and 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Or in Colorado, concerned about your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. And in Arizona, go to 1-800 Next Step or 800-639-8783 or text Next Step to 53342. In New York, call 24/7 Hope Line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, Coach, let's talk about the MEAC. South Carolina State, of course, last week, we already know they punched their ticket to the Celebration Bowl by winning the 2024 MEAC Conference Championship. They were 5-0 in the conference, 9-2 overall. Coach Chinnisberry in his first season has something. I haven't been able to find it yet in the record books. Maybe you can correct me. I haven't found that any first year head coach coming into the Division I goes all the way on to win the HBCU National Championship. Am I off?
No, you're absolutely correct. This is why so many people are eyeing Chinnisberry. What he's doing, he could make history.
Yeah.
And You know, it's just a big accomplishment and goal that he's put before his team. And shout out to that administration too, Kyle. South Carolina State has been going through some rough times these past couple years. And to see what Berry has done there in year one, Kyle, is remarkable. And that's why he's up for what? The ALCA Coach of the Year. Am I correct?
Yep. It sure is. He's already won the Regional 2 Coach of the Year award. Now he is up for the National Year of award as well. But also, Coach, when you look at that program, we keep on forgetting those guys aren't just born yesterday, right? We're talking about Coach Berry had Willie Jeffries as someone to be able to who's still living to rely on, right? And
Right.
to kind of pick his brain. He still had Coach Pugh, who handpicked Coach Berry for this position, and that has to be one of the best recruiting jobs right there. What Coach Pugh was able to do to get and land Coach Berry, because I know personally other programs had first shot at Berry and they chose not to even bring him in for an interview, which is mind-boggling. But all in all, Coach Berry had some really good training and two great coaches to be able to really help him out to go into this stretch. Now, let's go over to the SWAC. TC Taylor. This is second season. He has a chance to be able to win the national championship. How important is that for the Tigers?
Man, you know what? Of course, I'm rooting for TC as Coach of the Year, but this is going to be a hard one, Kyle, because you have TC in his second year. You have Eddie George that has just won the OVC. You have the two coaches that in Division II at Miles and Virginia Union that have just had a great accomplishment by winning in the divisional playoffs. So I think and then you have Chennis Bear. So I think these five coaches, it's going to be hard. I see a co-coach of the year because what TC Taylor has done at Jackson State is expected now. Don't get me wrong. It's expected to win championships at Jackson State year in, really every year. And so the fact that he did it in year two, and you got to understand this too now. TC Taylor did it with a different team. He had to do it differently, and he had to do it quickly because that pressure at Jackson State is unbelievable. He responded well at it, Kyle. And, of course, he has my vote in Coach of the Year. But like I said, I think this is going to be one of the years where the HBCUs have co-coaches of the year, and I think it's going to be Chennis Berry and TC Taylor. I could be wrong, but just the job that all the coaches have done is remarkable.
Yeah, and I think the favorite, in my opinion, is Chennis Berry. Okay, so if you look at Jackson State ran the table 8-0 in the conference. Tremendous, right? That's tremendous. 10-2 overall. Chennis Berry first season in HBCU Division I to go 5-0, 9-2 overall. I think that's a greater accomplishment to be able to get that Coach of the Year award versus what TC Taylor has done. That's just my opinion. I'm just one man. And I know
have some truth to that, Kyle, because, the mere fact I brought it up last night again. And, I think the favor in that is because Chennis Berry is in year one. That's all people are talking about. How is this guy doing this in year one? Well, TC is in year two. And it might give Chennis the slight edge because of that.
Yeah, look, but I think it's a co-coach of the year in the SWAC.
Well, it's no doubt in my mind that TC Taylor is the coach of the year in the SWAC. I don't think it's a co-coach of the year in the SWAC.
You think he is the guy, right?
Right.
Let's say if Coach Graves lose the Bayou Classic, then I think it makes it a lot more easier. But, if you look at the records, I would say, yeah, you're right. he would be coach of the year in my opinion as well in SWAC.
Right.
Yeah, but
But
go ahead.
when you look at the overall picture, and these coaches doing these great things, the thing that's helping them out a lot, Kyle, and people talk about it, when you're the first time, when you do it being your first time, it becomes special. It becomes a generational moment. Like what Chennis Berry is doing, it's going to be a generational wealth moment, that the university is going to be able to make money off of from years to come. And so that's what makes him so special in what he does at South Carolina State. Also TC Taylor as well, just because all the players left and went with Coach Prime. He made it within his mind and his goal that he's going to be married to Jackson State. And that's what he did. And now you see the benefits. He's in the championship game.
But why is TC Taylor winning? What did TC Taylor do? He hired his guys.
Right.
Going back to what I said earlier, Cozy kept some guys on his staff. TC Taylor probably kept a couple minor assistants on his staff, but not any major assistants.
Right.
Right? He hired his guys. And this year, what did he do? He took over the play calling.
Right.
All right. So, Coach, you sound kind of down, man. I thought you talking about the Jackson State. You be all ready to go. You're alum.
No. What you're saying is exactly correct. He did what a lot of the head coaches don't want to do, Kyle. He took over the head coach from him, and then he said, well, look, if I can't find an offensive coordinator, I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
Now, logically, that's not how it's supposed to be done. You're supposed to go out and hire one. But he saw that he couldn't find one. And so now that's why I said he's the coach of the year in the SWAC, because he's really running two positions. So you have to give him credit for that.
Credit is, and credit is done right now. Jackson State, number one in offense in the SWAC. They're averaging 36.8 points per game. Man, that's a really, really talented team out there. Defensively, they're ranked number two, right behind Alabama State. Jackson State is at 18.3 points per game. They surrender on defense. Offensively, Southern University, they are ranked 8th in the offense at 21.4 points per game. And the Jaguars are number 3 defensively, allowing 22.5 points per game on defense. Now, if we look at what happened over with the South Carolina State in 11 games, they are number 2 offensively by 1 point. Only 1 point behind NCCU. NCCU has scored 391 points. South Carolina State 390 points. They are averaging 35.5 points per game. And then South Carolina State defensively, they're number 2 behind NCCU. They are surrendering 20.9 points per game. Just those two tails of the tape, when you look at South Carolina State going against either Jackson State and Southern University, you would say Jackson State in many ways is the favorite overall for the Celebration Bowl, with the points they are putting on the board and the less points they are surrendering to their opponents, right?
Right.
So, but then you have to look at some of the nuances of the game. Who's going to be able to do the better job preparing their team, coaching their team, keeping their team's emotions in place, and also what my old mentor Rick Gailey used to say, special teams have to be special in games. Who has the special teams units?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Kyle. This Jackson State team right now is a dangerous football team.
Right.
They know what to accomplish. When they put their mind to it, their accomplishment is set high, Kyle. Looking at the Alcorn game yesterday, they physically beat Alcorn. Hadn't seen an Alcorn team like that in a long time, but TC Taylor and the Tigers, they just was ready to play football. Defense played lights out. The offense is real, real high powered, led by Aaron Mulligan and Jacoby Morgan, those two guys. And the big wide eye for Tillian, man, he's dangerous. And so they have so many weapons, though, Kyle. And shout out to TC Taylor for doing a great job in recruiting, man. This Jackson State team right now is a dangerous football team. And realistically, I just don't see anybody getting in their way.
Yeah, you look at it on paper, man. I was surprised to look at these statistics on kickoffs. This is what really shocked me more than anything else. I knew Jackson State was up there because they had a couple of returns for touchdowns, right? But guess who was number one in kickoff returns for the SWAC? They're down in Texas.
Texas Southern.
Texas Southern. In 11 games, they're the only team, including, I think they're the only team in HBCU football that had over 1,000 return yards this season. And Texas Southern, they also had one score on I forgot the game that was played, but Texas Southern, man. Then Jackson State is at number 3 in the league at 781 return yards with 2 touchdowns. So that was surprising to me to see on kickoff returns there. But if you go over to the MEAC, South Carolina State, they only had 322 yards of kickoff returns for 16.9 yards average. And I'm telling you, special teams make a difference, man. If you give an extra, 10 yards on special teams, I think the NFL says you could be able to get more touchdown production as a result. And right. I think also in college that rings true as well. So I don't know, man. Celebration Bowl, it also comes down to who plays the best. But South Carolina State, they're going to have more time off to be able to prepare. I think almost a 3-week advantage compared to what Jackson State is going to have. And plus, Jackson State has to play December 7th, the championship at the Vet. If they win and go on to play South Carolina State, it's a rested South Carolina State team. But sometimes the team that's fresher in the battle can also do the most worse on their opponent, right? So I don't know, Coach. I like what I see from Jackson State right now.
Yeah, like I said, Kyle, watching the game yesterday, winning 48-10, Jackson State made a statement. They just played lights out, man. I don't know if Alcorn wasn't prepared or just didn't feel like playing, but this Jackson State team right now is dangerous. The players are responding to TC Taylor, and he just has more weapons than everybody. This is the most talented Jackson State team I've seen in a while. They just got weapons all over the field. And shout out to the administration. A lot of people don't understand because I'm told TC Taylor has some NIL guys on their team. Don't know how much money that they're getting, but you can tell that the administration did their job. They went in with an NIL vision, an NIL process, an NIL program. They stuck to it, and they said, hey, we need some key guys in here to get us there. And look and behold, they're in the championship game, Kyle.
Yeah, you're right. If you look at what, let's just take 1, 2, 3, 4, the last 4 games, Jackson State offensively, 41 points, 51 points, 16 points, 48 points. Those were the last 4 games. Last 4 games for South Carolina State, 24 points, 38 points, 54 points, and 53 points. Ooh.
Yeah, you look at the big weapons they have. These are not normal-sized guys. For Tillian, the big wide-out, 6'4", 210 pounds. Spencer, the other returning all-SWAC wide-out, 6'3", 210 pounds. Then you have the preseason freshman of the year, the kid from Atlanta who's special. You know, Terrell, the special teams player,
Yeah.
Travis Terrell.
Yeah.
Then you had Jacoby and Morgan, the big 6'5" quarterback, and then you had the reigning, could be the MVP of the league, the running back, Herb Mulligan. So he's loaded with players, and just like I said, man, shout out to that whole administration for buying into the vision of TC Taylor, because it takes the administration to win too. So I had to give him credit on that, Kyle.
Yeah, as well as Ashley Robinson and his vision for the program. All right, Coach, any last thoughts and comments about Week 13 before we go into Bayou Classic weekend?
No, just looking at the crowds on yesterday and look at, the Florida Classic with FAMU and Bethune, and then you had the Soul Bowl, Alcorn, and Jackson State. Both universities made a lot of money, and just another great year for the conference. I'm sure Commissioner McCullum was proud of the job that these universities had done, and looking forward to another great season and looking forward to the Bayou Classic.
Jackson State and Alcorn, the attendance was 22,617 at Jack Spence Marino Chasm Stadium. They had a lot of people sitting out on the hill. It was a good event all in all. Coach, you were there. What was the tone of everybody? Was it that even though Alcorn went down, what was the still flavor out there?
Well, of course, the atmosphere was electrifying. Great atmosphere. The beginning of the game was very hype. If you're not used to big crowds, it was just a lot of people in one spot. Bad phone reception. For Alcorn, it's great because, of course, they're going to make the money, but you have to be knowledgeable of these fire hazards. When you have too many people in one spot, that means you got to hire more security. So, a lot of the fans were speculating this could be the last year in Alcorn just because of the crowd. I just think we have to put these people's safety first. And, of course, Alcorn, you go back to the McNair days when they won in Mississippi Veteran Memorial Stadium. So, I just think right now we're being a little bit confused. We need to sit down because we're missing out on a lot of more money if that game was in Jackson. Because, like I said, Kyle, the campus can only hold so many people, and the venue was just too small for the amount of people. And I think both administrations are going to sit down and try to get this game back in Jackson for years to come.
You think so? That's interesting, man. And if you look over at the FAMU Bethune-Cookman game, 56,463 were in attendance. Wow.
Great crowd.
A great crowd over at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Florida A&M had to come from behind, but they came from behind. They won the game. I was surprised on that one, Coach. When I was looking at the fourth quarter, I thought for sure Bethune-Cookman was going to pull off the upset. But Florida A&M scored 10 in the third and 14 in the fourth, and they won 41-38. And Bethune, just another letdown from, I know Coach Raymond Woody. He's a good guy, man. We had a chance to meet him at the press conference with Texas Southern. So Raymond Woody Jr., he's a really good coach. You think they'll give him another chance to stay around?
Man, these schools now, you talk about financial status of these schools and how heavily HBCUs rely on their football budget. It just never can tell, man. Bethune-Cookman is a great program. They expect to win right now because they're in the lovely city of Daytona Beach, Florida. And, it just depends on the administration. I know he's in year 2. He hasn't turned that thing around yet, but hey, they expect to win in year one, so it hasn't happened. But maybe you can get the right guy to come in and do it. I don't know, but we just got to sit back and wait and see.
He has the right quarterback, I tell you that much. Cam Ransom, if you give that kid another season, you're going to start talking about the old lefty. That boy could spin the ball. And yesterday, Malik Huggins had 7 receptions for 177 yards on the Rattlers defense. Coach?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I thought I lost you there, man. All right. All right, Coach. Any last thoughts, comments before we head on?
Well, we got the Bayou Classic coming up, and it's going to be a big one. A chance for Mickey Joseph to end the season on a high note. And of course, what Coach Graves has done at Southern is remarkable in year one. My big question, Kyle, right now, who will be the first assistant to be grabbed? Will it be Coach Fred McNair? A lot of people were concerned that he went to Southern, but look, it turned out well, and they're in the championship. And you gotta say right now, that plan that AD Banks put together in hiring McNair is worked out. And if he leaves Southern, what's the potential stop he'll take?
Fred McNair, I think we're going to see him on the sideline somewhere as a head coach. Don't know where yet, but you got to be able to utilize that talent. You got to. I think somewhere is going to give him an opportunity. Don't know where, but we shall see. All right, Coach, what's your prediction? You believe Grambling or Southern is going to win?
Of course, man, my heart is with Grambling, but, Southern right now is just clicking on all cylinders. And, if Southern comes in this game ready, the Jags are going to win it.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a letdown there. If it does happen, it's only because these guys know where they're going. But I still believe Southern has a better team. And look, this is the Bayou Classic, so records mean nothing in this one.
But, losing Miles Crowley, it just put a damper on Grambling's season, and going into it with a third-string quarterback, it's just not enough to beat this tough Southern University.
Well, hold on. Did they lose him, or did he just decide not to play him? I thought Crowley was still available.
He didn't play yesterday, did he?
Yeah, I thought he should have been able to come back. But I know he went down in the Texas Southern game. Yeah, I do understand that. But it does hurt to lose your starting quarterback, especially your preseason projected offensive player of the year. Yeah, but losing Crawley is going to hurt them all in all.
Right.
So I just got breaking news. The SWAC is investigating Jackson State for using the type of belt to whoop Alcorn up last Oh, man, that came from Ken Clark over at 1400 Media, Jackson State, guys. That was a good one, man. So, guys, we will be back. I think on Friday, you and I should do a preview of the Bayou Classic. That will be a great one. We may have some special guests to come join us in on that broadcast as well, Coach. Coach, we got to put you on camera all year long. We've been saying, Coach,
we're going to try to do it on Friday, Kyle. We'll do it on Friday.
Coach camera shy. He say, I'm too beautiful for the camera.
We'll do it on Friday, man. Get in and talk to all our fans. Instead of them shooting us on the email, they'll be able to shoot us live. And, it'll be a special moment.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to everybody who won, Virginia Union as well as Miles. Congratulations to you guys. Tennessee State, we'll find out later this afternoon where they will be headed again, or if they even get the FCS bid. It's not automatic. So we're praying that the selection committee does the right thing and bring them in to the playoffs. All right, Kyle T. Mosley from HBCU Legends. Coach, tell everybody how to find you on the World Wide Web.
Of course, tycoonleague2@gmail.com. Also, you can find me on HBCU Legends with the great Kyle T. Mosley.
I don't know about that great. But I tell you one thing, man, it's been a great year so far, and I think we're going to have a very dramatic ending of the season. Some surprises. We're going to see what the surprise is. And guys, go to hbculegends.net. Follow us on Sports Illustrated, and you can go to HBCU Legends on all social media platforms, as well as at KTMOZE on social media as well. Kyle T. Mosley with Coach Darryl Steward. Coach, we'll be back on Friday. Catch you guys later. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Bye.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now, during our Black Friday sale, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add a base. And Cyber Monday. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.